What's poppin', my freeform renegades? You are tuned into the Freeform Network. Thanks for joining us for another fun episode of Freeform Radio. I'm your host, Noel, with my co host, Daniel.
Yes, sir, man. Weather is beautiful. Just finished the 4th of July holiday, man. Some great grilling, great beer, man. Just chilling and ready to get into the pod.
Most definitely. We got Andy here as well.
It's all good, Andy. Hope everyone had a good fourth, and let's jump right into it, man. I'm ready to talk today.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, it is another beautiful day here in Chicago, just like Daniel was saying. We're enjoying our time, but wherever you listeners are, we hope you are relaxed, feeling good. And we're going to just jump right into this one. And we're going to start off with you, Andy. Or actually, I'm sorry, we're going to start off with Daniel. Um, Duke's ringtone. What is this about, Daniel? What is
Yeah,
Duke's ringtone?
just to jump into it really quick. I have a few ringtones on my phone that I kind of shuffle through. I usually during football season, I have the Fox like intro for football. And then usually when it's not football season, I'll shuffle between a few of them that I have. And right now I have the Dukes of Hazzard's theme song, and it was brought to my attention that maybe that's not PC nowadays to have the Dukes of Hazzard ringtone.
What?
So it got me thinking. I'm like, is this a no? Is this like a not in today's society? So it's got me thinking of changing my Duke ringtone, man. So I was just opening it up. What's your guys' thoughts?
I don't think it's racist.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. I've seen that argument about I think we've even talked about it, like the Confederate flag on the Dukes of Hazzard car and all that, and people, kind of saying like it's racist. But I think people have pride in their history, not necessarily, focusing on the negative aspect of it.
Right. And to me, even on that, the song has nothing to do with the Confederate South. I mean, unless you take Good Old Boys as being Southern gentlemen or something like that. But I don't know. To me, it's just some country guys having a good time, getting up to no good. I think the song says it itself. So I
So
was kind of
you
rocking it for a minute. But yeah, your
you
thoughts,
have
Andy?
the TV theme as the ringtone, or the horn that the General Lee plays.
No, no, the intro theme for the
Yeah,
episodes.
that's nothing racist about that,
Right. The only thing that I thought maybe to
or
give it some
inappropriate.
validity is that they say the good old boys, a
Nah.
couple good old boys getting up to no good. And I'm like, I don't know, does good old boys have a negative, kind of say, does it have like a negative theme to it? So I don't know. I'm kind of like teetering whether I should keep rocking it, switch back to like my Superman theme, or I got a Jimi Hendrix theme or a few other ones. But I don't know. I was kind of digging it. I thought it was
Get
kind of bringing
the
back some old school.
Taylor Swift or theme ringtone or something.
Yeah, need to get more to the days now. But yeah, jumping into something else, man. I just beat a few days ago during the 4th of July weekend, Fallout 4. And I know Noel was talking about it with the TV show a couple weeks ago, but this PlayStation 3 game, I think it started off as, I have played it like two or three other times, and I've gotten okay into it a few hours, but I always would drop off and I would never really beat it. Um, I was pot committed with the TV show coming out. They came out with a PlayStation 5 patch. I started playing it again, and after 100 hours plus, I finally beat it for the first time, and it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Probably not worth the 100 hours I put into it, just because it's kind of aged a little bit in its mechanics, but it was still cool to finally chip away at it, beat it, and kind of put it in my back pocket as far as something that I finished beating. Did you ever play this one, Noel?
I played it on PC, I think way back in that era, man, the PS3 era. But I never beat it either. But it was really cool at the time. When I remember it was very like engaging. It was at the time when it came out, it was like, state of the art graphics, all that. So it was really cool. And I'm curious, so are you gonna watch the show now?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm either gonna watch it on that Freevee TV streaming thing, because right now I don't have Amazon Plus. But yeah, man, I heard the show was really good, so I'm kind of interested in it, and that's what got me playing it again. But I'm really glad that beat it. Once I felt like I was really pot committed, and I was like in it, I was just like, I got to beat this thing. I can't give up on it again. So it's finally behind me. Another Bethesda's game done, and now on to something else. So I'm kind of shuffling through some games, and we'll see what I play next. But yeah, just rapid fire. Another one that I want to talk about really quick is the company picnic. Our company just had a picnic every year. They try to pick a destination and kind of invite the families of the workers. And this year we had it at Brookfield Zoo. So went out there. Sometimes it's a crapshoot because, as people know from the Chicago Midwest here, the weather is sometimes unforgiving. Sometimes it'll be snowing, and the next day it's going to be 100 degrees. So it's really a crapshoot on what you're going to get. But the day of the picnic, beautiful weather, man, nice and cool. The sun was out. Really a beautiful day. The zoo was top. A lot of the exhibits that were closed last time I was at the zoo were open this time. And it was just a great time. I don't know, when was the last time you went to the zoo, Noel?
Oh man, that's a hard one to answer. Man, I want to say when it was like when I was a kid, dude. It's been many years.
Really? Wow, that long. And what about you, Andy?
It had to be when I was dating my wife. We did
Oh, that brew
the
cruise
brew
thing.
zoo brew thing where they
Yeah,
had all those
yeah.
tastings, and they had a good band going, and it was pretty sweet. So I think that was the last time we went.
Yeah, man. It was awesome. They're expanding it and they're putting some new stuff in. So when we used to live closer to the area, we had a membership for like a year or two. We would kind of like alternate between spots when Junior was younger. And the zoo was just one of our like mainstays where we would just go almost religiously. And yeah, it had been a while, other than the last time I went because it was last year. But the time before that, it was probably a good 4 years that I had been there. But yeah, man, the Brookfield Zoo is always an awesome time walking around, just eating like funnel cakes, and this time I actually partaked in a beer, and it felt good, man. It was pretty cool to chill out, have some good eats, hang out with some coworkers, and walk around the zoo, man. It was good for sure. Um, and then now jumping into something else, man. Let's keep the rapid fire going, man. I have so much. This Fourth of July really gave me a chance to do a lot of things and catch up on a lot of TV that I've been wanting to watch. So I'm assuming the next couple pods, I'm just gonna have like a ton of stuff that I want to get through. But the next thing I wanted to bring up is Jinx 2 on HBO. Not sure if you guys seen this with Robert Durst and his documentary, his downfall. Did you guys ever see Jinx 1 or even catch this new Jinx 2?
No, that doesn't sound familiar. And who's the Robert Durst? What did you say his name
Yeah,
was?
Robert Durst. Yeah, he's a real estate Mongol. I don't know what you call it, Mongol or
Mogul.
Mogul.
mogul, real estate mogul. He has, well, his family has a ton of real estate in New York. They basically own almost all of Times Square. A ton of money, wealthy family. And this guy, Robert Durst, has been a kind of shady character since the start, not only with his money investments, but just his character, always like an odd guy. And Jinx 1 kind of goes into it about how he gets in trouble with the law on numerous occasions. And the HBO documentary, Jinx 1, really goes into it. And for whatever reason, he gets off on a lot of it. And now Jinx 2 kind of continues on from where Jinx 1 ended. And now he's like legitimately in some really deep stuff. And yeah, at the end of the documentary, you kind of find out his fate. And then I'm sure if you Google him, he's passed away in the last few years. But really cool
He has like a
documentary
lot
about
of
his real
tax
estate.
things, right? That's what it was
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Well, his ultimate demise was he got arrested for murder uh, three times, 2 times, I guess, technically. And the last time, I think they threw it out because of no evidence. But his ex-wife went missing, or one of his ex-wives went missing, and then he killed some like a roommate, or not a roommate, but the guy that was adjacent to his apartment. He actually killed a guy, admitted that he killed it, but he claimed it was self-defense and got off on that. And then the last one was where he killed his best friend, this lady, and that was this last trial from the Jinx 2. It really went into him killing his best friend. So, it's really funny. If you guys should probably watch it. I don't know if you guys like those docu series, especially this one. He's really eccentric kind of guy, and you almost want to like him through both documentaries, Jinx 1 and Jinx 2. You really start getting enamored by him. He's got a really unique personality, kind of old school, like mobster, old school way of being. And his emotions are on his sleeves, or I forgot what the saying is, but you know what he's thinking, and he says it. And ultimately, kind of spoiler of part 1, that's what kind of gives him in trouble, is that he says too much, to the fact where Jinx 2 got developed, because he just talked too much. But really cool, man. You guys should really check it out if you've never seen it before. Jinx 1 is an awesome one. Jinx 2 is kind of a little drawn out, just because it's kind of like the finality of what they couldn't fit in Jinx 1. But really cool, man. You guys should really check it out.
Yeah, it looks interesting. Looks like this old man.
Yeah, he was definitely older in age, but just filthy rich. Kind of goes with the saying, once you have money, what else is left? So, really cool documentary. You should really check it out.
Yeah.
And the last documentary I want to talk about that I watched is on Netflix. It's El Rey. Like I mentioned, it's on Netflix. It's about Vicente Fernandez and kind of his story from start to end. Well, not the end, because they didn't talk about his passing, but really cool. Almost has like a novella kind of style to it, where every episode there's kind of like a drama, some kind of issue that needs to get resolved, and then there's like this overlining arc, a lot of personal issues. Kind of questions whether any of it, or how much of it is true, or how much of it's exaggerated for the show. But really cool. I can't recall how many episodes, but I want to say it was like 20 to 30. And
No, that's a
really,
novella way.
yeah, it was pretty long. It was pretty long, the show, and it was really, really cool, man. I've always been a Vicente Fernandez fan, but after watching the show, it really gave me a new perspective as to supposedly some of his struggle. I would assume that most of it was true, because I know the family, some of the family members were producers on the show and helped make it. So I'm assuming that they wouldn't let something that was untrue, or at least unsavory,
What
be
was
part
his
of Vicente
demons?
Fernandez. Well, actually, throughout the whole episode, it hints that he was being followed by death the whole time. So at a very young age, supposedly, according to the TV show, he would see death appear to him. And as he's going through life struggles and different challenges throughout his life, death would appear to him. And on occasion, he would have to, make deals with death to continue on with his life, or spare a family member, or give better fortune to so person, or whatever. And so it was a constant battle throughout his career,
Damn.
with this death character. And it just plays a ton of his music, all his greatest hits. I don't know if you've ever seen the Young Rock on NBC, with Rocky Maivia.
I saw a couple episodes, but I didn't watch it regularly. But now that it's ended, I might check it out.
Well, it's
Yeah.
have you seen that one? Rocky Maivia, the young Rock.
I mean, I've heard of it. I've even heard of El Rey. I was considering watching it too. And it's funny that you mentioned like how he was like kind of having encounters with death. It almost sounds like some crossroads demon. He sold
Yeah,
his soul for the
yeah.
fame
Right.
kind of thing, dude.
No, for sure, for sure. It was something like that. Even some people afterwards, because after I finished the novella Netflix thing, I went googling because I'm like, man, is this true that he was visited by the death so many times and he kind of walked with death through his whole life? And I found little tidbits here and there, and he does kind of mention it in a few interviews, but he never explicitly came out, or at least nothing that I could find, and say that he was following death. But the reason I was bringing up the Young Rock is that it kind of follows a little bit of that format where it's young Vicente, then it's 10-year-old Vicente, then it's like 16-year-old Vicente, and then it's like adult Vicente, maybe like in his early 20s, and then it's the older Vicente, like in his 40s. And so it keeps, ping ponging back and forth between his life. So it doesn't go chronological. It will maybe start off when he's a teen and then flip back to when he was young and then flip forward to when he was an older adult. And the story just keeps going in that way, kind of telling you his life story in that kind of format. But very interesting, very good. If you're a Vicente Fernandez fan, you really got to watch it. If you don't speak Spanish, then it might be a little difficult. You'll definitely have to have subtitles on because the whole thing is in Spanish. I mean, there's no Americanizing it, so it's totally in Spanish. But really cool for you guys out there, Latino heritage, Mexicanos. You really got to watch it. I know I've been trying to sell it to my parents, but I don't think they've seen it yet, and I'm not sure if they're really that interested in the way I was trying to perceive it. I don't. It didn't look like they were really interested in it, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Is the actor that plays him, does he sing well?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, nobody really sounds like Vicente, but he really does have a good presence, especially the older adult one, and like the one that's in his 40s, and even the semi-old, like the one that was in his late 20s. He has a good presence too. The younger ones, I can give and take. Nothing really. Yeah, a young actor kind of voice kind of sounds youngish. It doesn't sound mature. So yeah, man, I really dug it. I thought the music was awesome, and it really had a good theme throughout. Had that like novella flair. So definitely a must watch for any fans out there. But let's change over the subject. Andy, man, fill us in. This presidential debate, man. I know I watched like the first couple hours, but then I fell asleep. Fill us in on your thoughts, man, and all the fallout that came afterwards.
Well, did you guys watch it? You mentioned you watched some of it. Noel, did you watch any of it?
Uh, y- yeah, not really, man. I want to say like I saw a couple of clips. It's because I already knew what was gonna happen, dude. I knew like what happened is what I thought was gonna happen.
So by the time this episode drops, I mean Biden. I mean he might be out of the race because there's rumors of that. I mean that's how bad of a debate he had, and Trump. The this debate was set up by the Biden people with his rules and what he wanted, and I think it helped Trump in the long run because Biden came out misfiring, slow. He looked bad. Then they came out and said he was sick. He was mumbling. And when I first watched it, my wife watched it with me, the debate a little bit, and she was like, what's wrong with him? I'm like, to me, it looks like Biden's like way past his bedtime. And then there's reports that came out after that he only functions really well between 10 and like 4 o'clock or something, and he's
Dang,
at
he's like Jay
bed.
Cutler, man.
Dude,
Because
I'm
remember,
serious. And then
Jay Cutler
there's
had that
the
Sunday night.
diabetes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the diabetes thing too, like that.
yeah, they were saying because he doesn't do good at night because of diabetes. and like he takes a nap in there. I mean, allegedly, all this stuff has been reported this whole weekend since the debate. He had one interview. So the news media turned on him because this debate was horrendous. I mean, they couldn't cover from no more, and then the news media, the national media, came out and started attacking him. Like, wow, is he really old? Can he do it? You know, and like stuff that the conservative media has been saying for like the last year, and people, it was on a national stage, and they couldn't cover it up no more. That's how bad it was. And then CNN, especially, they came out swinging, and then talking about he looked bad. There's already conversations of him being replaced. Um, so yeah, man, he just, the worst things that could have happened. Obama and the Bidens had supposedly they talked, and Joe Biden said we ain't dropping out. The Obamas got pissed. They want to give the VP a shot, Harris, which has worse numbers than him, but they're like, maybe we can spin that, make uh, chicken salad out of you know, from chicken shit to chicken salad. Um, so now then this past Friday after 4th of July, people started tweeting that on Monday he's going to resign. That's the new thing. He had a meeting with the Democratic governors. Um, did you guys hear about that? Like Pritzker and all these guys went to talk to him. Supposedly, they were saying they were asking him to step down because they're going to bring down the party and the Democratic governors. And he said, "I ain't going nowhere." That he was just tired, that he was exhausted,
I
and
heard
then they,
something about him saying he doesn't want to have any meetings after 8 so he could sleep more or something like
yeah,
that.
because he goes to bed at 8.
Hmm.
That's his whole shtick. And then they have meeting. His first meeting, his day starts at 10 and it ends at 4. And then because yeah, I mean, he's not. I mean, he's an old. I mean, it's the president of the United States, dude, and like this guy's in charge of the. He's the leader of the free world. We have nukes. Like, who's really making decisions if you can't wake up or you struggle at after 8 o'clock? I mean, it's hard already. I get it, but yeah, it's kind of sad and depressing to be honest with you. And now there's going to be a meeting with the Democratic senators. And my understanding is people are reporting they're gonna have a meeting with them. They're gonna ask them to step down. If not, they're gonna push that amendment where they can replace the president because he's not all there. And they're trying to give him like an option, like you could step down and we won't do this because if we do this, your legacy is gonna be tarnished. So there's a lot of stuff going on. By the next record, like the next episode, I mean we should know what's going on. And um, yeah, I mean, this is the state of the political parties here in the United States, um, and it's kind of sad. And Trump's just like, I think Trump already said, I'm not going to debate him no more. Like, why should I? Like, he released a commercial stating like of Biden just like stuttering and saying incoherent things from the debate. Like that's all he did for like 30 seconds. And then it was like Trump 2024, you know, and he did an interview with Papalopoulos or whatever on ABC News. He asked him direct, "Are you going to take the test? Are you going to resign or anything?" He's like, "I ain't going nowhere." He's like, "I'm the one that can defeat him. I'm the one that expanded NATO. I'm the one that took down Putin, or you know, I'm the only one that can take him down, or something like that." Like, he's like, he's just an older man, man. Like, I think his time is up, and he wishes he doesn't want to relinquish power. You know, the same thing that he said that Trump wouldn't do. It sounds like he's doing the same thing, even though all the numbers, the polls, whatever you believe, have Trump just like up 3, up 6, up 4. Like he's up on everything, even in swing states. So it's saying now, like, I think Trump is like a 65% or 64% favorite to win. He's winning on swing states. He's up a couple points, 2, 3 points. And they asked him in this interview he did on Saturday or Friday night. He goes, "Oh, I don't believe those polls." like it's all fake. So he's using the Trump playbook. It's like fake news. So yeah, man, it's I think tomorrow is going to be an interesting day because it looks like he's not resigning. I'll be shocked if he resigns, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think the law requires it where he needs to reside or kind of step aside. The Democratic Party cannot elect somebody else to go as the nominee. He needs to step aside. So for them to try to pass a law, that would be very interesting to see if they do pass something in Congress, because I think he could veto it. So I'm not sure
No,
how it would work out.
there's an amendment saying if the president is not there, they could
Oh, right, right. He's not
the
fit.
VP and some other people in the government
Yeah, like the
can,
speaker. Yeah,
yeah,
but they have to prove that he's,
yeah. I
not
think
not
they have proof, yeah.
not possible
So
to lead the country. No,
yeah,
for sure. No,
but I think
yeah,
the
if they go
people
that.
in his, yeah, the people in his party are telling him like you need to like resign. This you're not gonna win. And for us, the party to continue and do what we're doing, we need somebody that can do what we need them to do because you're not doing that successfully. And I think that's what they're trying to tell them. So yeah, and Trump's out there golfing and shit, like just chilling. Um, yeah, like I said, it's kind of it's messed up. I know Trump from everything that you see, it looks like he's gonna win. Um, I know some people are pissed off about it. A lot of people, I think they just like they're tired of their money being affected by this current regime with Bidenomics or whatever he calls it. And it's like at the debate, one of the things he talked about was like the tax thing is all messed up. I'm gonna fix all that and tax rich people, and I'm gonna do all this other stuff. And like Trump's thing, like he always says, well, you've been in government all these years. Why didn't you fix it? Like, why are you doing it now? And I think he tried. He's gonna do more um, student loan forgiveness. I know he's trying to do that, and I don't know, man. It's just the inflation has gotten a little better, but it's a mess. He keeps saying that Trump did it, but he's almost been president for 3.5 years, so I think he has to own up. And then the other thing he talks about is uh, like where we shouldn't forget if Afghanistan, how all that went down, and Trump brought up a valid point, how people generals weren't fired after that debacle of what happened, like leaving all that stuff there, and
Uh,
which was an embarrassment for the country. I
did
don't
you
understand how people did not get fired or let go because of that.
did you hear about how some of the soldiers or the people that were there in the military, when they were coming back, they weren't allowed to bring back all their gear, and they were like ordered to leave it behind. And then so now, all this time later, they're getting bills having to pay for all that stuff they left behind. And they're like barely making ends meet. Like you said, inflation's crazy. So these veterans are having to pay these like hefty bills for the stuff that they were ordered to leave behind. It's just ridiculous,
They,
man.
I did read that Americans that were there that went to the embassy and to get them out of there when they were airlifting out of people out of the embassy that they were getting bills to get flown out to like other countries. I did read that somewhere. I don't know if it got verified, but I did read about that they were getting bills from the government or from somebody saying you need to pay all this for us getting us out there, which was kind of like messed up, because he touts how many people he got out of there, and like and I think Trump hit him hard, like you left people behind, and he goes, oh, I got people out of there, and then like you left stuff behind, like helicopters and tanks and Humvees and all this and weaponry and um so yeah, like I said, that debacle is it was pretty messed up, and a sad day for America how that part of the war on terrorism ended, and Trump, man, he made a valid point. Like nobody thinks about how the fuck did people not lose their jobs over how that went down. And that to me explain like typical government shit. You got a job in the government, let's like something fucked up really happens, which was pretty fucked up, but nobody got fired.
Yeah, I think it is kind of crazy that, nobody at least, took the blame, and they kind of just brushed it under the door, and no, nothing really happened. And that was a really black eye for the country. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope they convince them to step down if that's what the Democratic Party wants, because to say that he's not capable of being the president, I think that would be even another black eye for the country. And I think it would definitely be a president for the country. So hopefully it doesn't go down that road. But I gotta say this: if they bring a strong Democratic candidate, there's a possibility that there's another Democrat for 4 years, because I don't think Trump is that strong of a Republican candidate. I think people just don't want Biden for another 4 years, but they may be willing to deal with another Democrat for 4 years.
The only two names I've been hearing is Newsom, but I think he has his own problems in California right now. And then the other name I kept hearing was in Michigan, Whitmer, the Gretchen Whitmer, which handled COVID very terribly. But they're saying that that she was telling people that they already talked to them. The party already talked to her about running, like how would she feel if she ran for president and like all this other goofy stuff. And I don't know, but it sounds to me like Biden is not going to be the nominated presidential nomination. He's not getting the presidential nomination from the party in September or whenever it is when they have the conventions. So that's like the thing that's gonna go down. That's why this debate, when I remember somebody at work like, oh, there's gonna be a debate next week. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not even July. And like, no, yeah, it's gonna be one next week. And I looked it up, like, holy shit. Like, I was like, wow, this is super early. There's not even the nominations or like anything. And everything worked well for Trump, and it made things a lot really bad for Biden. And that was like a huge mistake.
It's just my opinion. I'm not as educated as others in like politics and stuff, but just the writing's kind of on the wall when you ask your peers, like people you work with, and just people, and you watch videos of people getting interviewed, and what do they think about the government and the current state of affairs, the country. And yeah, I feel like the consensus right now is like people are not as aligned to the Democratic Party as they used to be. It used to be like almost like a White Sox Cubs rivalry. It's like Democrats are better, Republicans are better, and it's just a back and forth. But I think people now are realizing, like, yo, the Democrats do not have our best interests in mind. All the taxes that they increase, it's going to wars that we have nothing to do with and we don't want to have anything to do with. The inflation that's going up, the student loan forgiveness we're going to have to pay back. People are getting shafted in the Social Security. It might run out by the time we get retired. There's so many things going on. The stores are closing in Democratic cities and states because all the it's ridiculous, like protesting and looting and all the just riots and shit. So I don't think, man, if they even change the nominee or whatever for the presidential, candidacy for Democrats, I don't think they're going to be beating Trump. In terms of like just the way it's going, it seems like people don't want to have anything to do with Democrats right now.
Yeah, I mean, we still got a long way to go. We're halfway past the year, so we'll see what happens. But with this being said, one of the things that Biden bragged about in this interview he did after the debate was, and in debate too, how much money he gave to Ukraine. He's like very proud of that to help fight Putin. And meanwhile, in Hawaii, in Maui, when they had those fires, I think they were offering people like $2,000 or something for people who lost their whole homes, the government, and which is they're telling them that they can't get money or something like that, and like what a travesty that was, and get the I think to keep giving them money to Ukraine and to we can help our the fellow Americans in Hawaii with that fire they had. And right now, there's another hurricane going through the Caribbean. I think it's gonna hit Texas soon, and I know it went through Jamaica and some of the other Caribbean islands. So we'll see how another disaster happens and see how Biden responds to it. But
Yeah.
let's change it up here, guys. Let's go to something a little better besides talking about the American political system. I see Noel has been watching a type of prequel, Pearl. What's all that about? I don't know what this is about. I'm guessing it's a movie.
Yep, you are right, man. It's a horror movie. It's the prequel to the movie X. X came out, I think it was back in like 2019, 2020-ish. And Pearl came out 2 years later, so it came out in 2022. And I don't know if have you guys seen either of those, X or Pearl?
No, it
I have
doesn't
not.
sound familiar. Yeah, what is it about?
So X is the original movie that came out, and that was about it's literally X based on it's called X based on the rating that like they were going for. So it's about like a porno about like kind of like Texas Chainsaw meets like a porno, but it's not an actual like porn flick. It's just that's the story is that like they're gonna go out there to film a porno in like the middle of nowhere. It's like I don't know if it's Texas or somewhere like really remote and like rural and they like hire they like rent like a house essentially from this guy who owns like a farm like a lot of land and so they're like, hey, can we use your house for a bit? And the guy's like, all right, well, how many nights, whatever. And so they ended up staying there and they're essentially just using that whole farm like to make a porno, like a farm, whatever it is. And they got a lot of notable actors in it, people that you'd recognize. Kid Cudi, the rapper, is in there. Brittany Snow, she was in Black Christmas, I believe, and a few other popular movies. Prom Night, I think, was another one. Supernatural, I think she was in a couple episodes. So essentially, and Jenna Ortega's in it too, the girl from Wednesday or whatever, the Addams Family spinoff show. She's in it as well. And essentially, so they're out there trying to record this, porn. That's what they're doing, but it doesn't focus so much on it. It's more focused on the horror element that the owner of the farm place, he's kind of like he's an old school guy, so he doesn't know they're going to use it for that. He doesn't approve of that. When he finds out, he actually starts murdering these people. And the wife, his wife, her name is Pearl. She ends up, going crazy and just going on a rampage and just murdering just about everybody. I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, there is a survivor, and there's a new sequel coming out called Maxine. It's actually, I think, out now. Yeah, I think it's out now in theaters at this time of this recording. So Maxine with three X's is out in theaters, and it's the sequel or the trilogy to finish off this little franchise. And so anyway, X is the original movie. Then I watched Pearl, which is a backstory to how this lady went crazy, how she becomes like a psychopathic killer, and essentially she was raised by like a German mother that's like almost like one of those like Mennonites, like just or like almost like Amish, like very Puritan, very religious, very proper, and to like really prideful, and they wouldn't accept charity, and she's very strict and rigid, and like you can't even leave the farm, you can't go out and even watch a movie in the town. It's like you got to stay here, you got to help with the farm. And then her dad like had a stroke, and so he's like essentially like not comatose, but he's like a vegetable, unfortunately, and so he's aware of what's going on, but he can't move. He's paralyzed, and so they help bathe him and feed him and all that. But she starts to get resentment for it, and like wants to like be free and be a movie star and be famous and all that. But her mother's like keeping her essentially like metaphorically chained, like not physically chained, but like she guilt trips her and makes it feel like she's not grateful and all that stuff. So That's when she finally snaps, and so I don't want to spoil it. It's when she starts to go on her psychopathic rampage, and it's the prequel to X, where she continues her rampage, and then now we have Maxine, which is the third movie in the series, and we'll see what that's about. Once I watch it, I'll fill you guys in on that one.
How this come across your plate? Who introduced you to this?
So I think X. I can't remember if I saw it in theaters. I believe
Okay.
it's just I watch a lot of horror movies, so I'm always on the it's always on my radar. I have a list of movies I'm going to watch this year that are horror related. There's one called Long Legs. There's another movie, the I think Creep 3 is coming out later. There's a bunch of horror movies, man, that I'm always Terrifier 3 is coming out. So X was just one of those movies that I'm just like, oh, this is interesting. Let's check it out. And it had like a lot of actors that I know, and I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot. And it's one of those movies, bro. Like if you like gory, like if you're into like the slasher stuff, this is up your alley because this is like a gory slasher type film. And that's my shit. That's what I grew up with, Freddy Krueger, Jason, all that stuff. So Michael Myers. So this is like in the same realm where it's like a slasher, but you kind of know who it is. And if you're a fan of horror, like I am, you're almost like anticipating, like, oh man, right here, they're gonna do this, and then it happens, and you're like, damn, okay, well, what about this? It'd be cool if they did this. Bam, it happens. You're like, damn, dude, this movie was made for horror fans because like you're predicting as a fan, I would like to see this, and then it happens after one after another, and we're like, it's not that it's predictable, although it kind of is, but it's like as a horror fan, we know what we want to see next, and that's what happens, and it pays off almost on every checkbox. It just checks it off, and yeah, so that's one of the first horror movies that I watched. I actually watched it yesterday. That's what's kind of fresh in my head. Another one that I watched yesterday just recently got released digitally. It's called In a Violent Nature, and it came out this year. Actually, just recently, like a month or so ago. And it's essentially like a Friday the 13th movie because but it's in the perspective of the killer. So just a quick like recap of the story is these group of kids, or not kids, like adults, but they're like young adults. They're out there having fun in the campgrounds and nature and all that, and enjoying their time out there doing all sorts of shit, and up to no good essentially. And they pick up this cursed object that kind of triggers the awakening of this being that's like almost like Jason Voorhees. And it looks very similar in the facial, and he has like a fucking like a corroded face and head, and he wears like this like outfit that looks very reminiscent of Jason, but it's not Jason. And then later on he finds this mask that's kind of like this almost like a biohazard, like old school 1920s weird mask, almost like Killzone. I don't know if you remember that like mask that they
Yeah,
have.
with the glowing eyes.
Yeah, yeah, it's not glowing, but like imagine like that, but 1920s. So it's like retro look of it. And so anyway, he wears this mask. He goes out there and he's killing all these people that are out there, and it's in the perspective of the killer. So imagine you're playing a game and it's like over the shoulder. So you see him walking towards the people to kill him. So it's like you're playing a video game that you're watching. It's like it's interesting, man. It's a really cool, unique perspective. Another artistic choice they made was to make it in a different aspect ratio, in the old school like 80s aspect ratio of like 4:3. So instead of having the bars on the top and bottom, you have the bars on the left and right. So it's like the old school, aspect ratio. But I would say this movie was really interesting. Not much in the story department. Like I said, it's like a cursed object that kind of triggers him. I think it was his mother's necklace, and kind of like Jason Voorhees when they kill his mother in the first movie, she was the actual killer in the first movie. That's when he finally resurrects or whatever, and he takes over for the next, however many movies it's been. I think it's been about 10 at this point.
Is that one where he
And
goes to space?
yeah, that was Jason X, but then he had Freddy versus Jason, so that would have been the official 10th movie he's been in, I think. Or actually, well, yeah, that would be the official 10th because like again, the first one he wasn't even in it. It was just his
Yeah,
mom.
that's Friday the 13th, right? And Halloween is a different guy.
Yeah, that's Michael Myers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But again, if you're a fan of slashers, in the violent nature, definitely recommend. It's a short, quick movie, hour and a half, you're done. But very, very violent, very gory. Like definitely not for kids. Man, I can't even tell you. Like the people that made this movie definitely paid homage to Jason, and they did it in the right way. Like some of the kills they get, like it's very graphic, man. Like it shocked me. I was like, oh my goodness. Like it just didn't end. It just, man, it was insane. And if you're a fan of horror movies, obviously you would never want to see this happen in real life. We're not, psychopaths, but because it's in a movie, you can respect that. You're like, okay, this is fake, but it's like it's crazy. It's engaging. It's like exciting. It's like, wow, dude, like this is insane. But so
Yeah,
yeah,
his
that's it.
helmet kind of looks like one of those submarine guys. I'm
Yeah.
pulling up some pictures of it. Yeah, yeah. It looks kind of like akin to, like you said, like Friday the 13th, like even part one or two, where it's like really woody, kind of grainy film. It looks like, so it looks pretty interesting. I'm a Friday the 13th fan, so might have to check this one out and see what it's about.
100%, dude. Let me know what you think. And last thing I really wanted to bring up, for at least for now, Resident Evil 9 was announced just recently. I would say like 3 days ago at this point, like right, almost like right at July 1st. Um, and I don't know if you guys have played a lot of the Resident Evil games, but I grew up on that. I love the series. The movies not at all, but the video games have always really been enjoyable. Um, and so Resident Evil 9. Um, finally being excuse me, finally being announced, man, it just seems like it's about time like we get another good game. And they haven't really confirmed who the main character is going to be. I'm hoping it's going to be Leon, because it would be cool to see like a new original title with him. Because of course we got Resident Evil 2 remake, we got Resident Evil 4 remake, and those are great, but it'd be cool to have a new like entry into the franchise with him as a playable character.
Yeah, what was the last Resident Evil game that you played?
That was probably Resident Evil 7 Biohazard or whatever, um, where it introduces Ethan and the whole like crazy family.
Right at the kitchen table.
Yeah, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes.
Right, right. Yeah, that
Uh,
that one's pretty good, and the one after that, Village, is not that bad either. Um,
yeah, I
but
haven't beaten
yeah,
that
I
one.
yeah I know. Like you mentioned, I saw the announcement. They just kind of talked about it. They didn't really show any kind of clip art or anything like that. Not even the full title. But yeah, I guess they're starting to work on it, and um, I just picked up a few weeks ago Resident Evil 4, the remake, but I haven't started playing it yet. It's probably going to be my next one that I play and check that one out. But yeah, I'm really anxious because Resident Evil 2, the remake, was awesome. I really dug it. I didn't get to play Resident Evil 3, the remake, so not sure how that one is. But yeah, it was kind of exciting that at the Capcom, whatever thing they did for announcing new games, that Resident Evil 9 was announced finally. So yeah, it is something exciting.
100%, man. Yeah. Yeah, I think you're gonna like Resident Evil 4 remake. So Ismail, his favorite game was Resident Evil 4, and so the remake, he was like 10 out of 10, man. He's like, this is like the best game I've ever played. I'm like,
Really?
damn. So I mean, I don't want to hype it up too much, but I think you're gonna enjoy it. He's a Resident Evil fan just like you, so yeah, let me know how you like it, because I'm gonna wait until I get my new PC next year, and then I'll finally play Resident Evil 4 remake. But anyway, speaking of Resident Evil and all the weird chemicals and the science that goes into it, let's get into our article of the week. All right, so we have a little bit of a science article here. It's from Scripps News, and this is called Forever Chemicals Found in Chipotle, Annie's, Fairlife, and More Foods. A study by Consumer Reports found plasticizers in dozens of grocery and fast food brands, regardless of their packaging. And so this is made by Alex Arger as of January 8th of this year. And so the things that they're talking about is called phthalates. Substances categorized as forever chemicals have been found in nearly every American's bloodstream, coming from the cleaning products they use to the foods and drinks they consume. Though efforts to limit consumption of phthalates first focus on how items are packaged, particularly in plastic food packaging, some foods themselves may be what's making you ingest more forever chemicals than you realize. And so they have a new report found phthalates in 99% of products it tested, regardless of the packaging type or if they were certified organic. So even organic stuff will have these forever chemicals. Some products that have found to have high levels of this is General Mills Original Cheerios, Del Monte Sliced Peaches, Chicken of the Sea Pink Salmon, Fairlife Core Power High Protein Chocolate Shake Milkshakes, Yoplait Original Yogurt, even Annie's Organic Cheesy Ravioli was found to have the highest levels of the phthalate. And some products had different phthalate levels, even under the same company with Chef Boyardee's Big Bowl Beefaroni pasta and the meat sauce having less than half the amount of its beefaroni pasta and tomato and meat sauce. So it even talks about like fast food stuff, Wendy's chicken nuggets, Chipotle's chicken burrito, the Whopper, all that stuff is phthalate ridden. They're saying the only product that did not contain phthalates that the agency tested was Polar Raspberry Lime Seltzer. Man, I bet the stock went up on that after this report came out. But so it detected in 79% of its samples another chemical called bisphenol or BPA, but the rate was lower than back in 2009. So at least they're, going in the right direction for some of these chemicals, but it definitely in the wrong direction for these other ones that are considered forever chemicals. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a pretty lengthy article. I would recommend people read it and get more knowledgeable about it. But yeah, pretty much like all this stuff is very, very harmful for you. It can definitely alter, your health in a negative way. It says here phthalates, bisphenols, or BPAs are forever chemicals found in plastics. Phthalates are often called plasticizers as they make food as they make plastic more flexible and durable. They're often used in food production like packaging, conveyor belts, gloves, and jar lids. BPAs can be found in some food, can linings, and older plastic food and drink containers. They're both linked to various health risks, hormonal disruption, diabetes, obesity, cancer, heart disease. They haven't even found a level that's safe. So it's pretty much just like lower it as much as you can because no amount is really safe. Technically, at that point, then since everybody in America is found to have it in their blood, everybody's already at risk of having some kind of complication as a result. So all you could really do at this point, because you really can't eliminate it, it's called forever chemicals for a reason. All you can really do is try to limit your future intake. So I wanted to bring this up to you guys, so you guys are aware of it. Obviously everybody should do more research. It's just this one article. Always definitely look at both sides of it. Maybe this is inaccurate in some way, and someone has a better study. I don't know, but for right now, this is a study we're looking at, and it's not looking good. So what do you guys think about it?
Yeah, to me, it's very concerning. I mean, even in the article, they make mention that plastics are biodegrading in our landfills, and they're thinking that the plastics are seeping into the soil and going into our water supplies. Animals are eating, plants that are growing in the soil, water that's evaporating into the atmosphere, coming out of the soil, and it's just like an endless cycle. I forgot where I read it, but that every raindrop has, I don't know, like 0.0000 whatever of plastic inside of it that falls into earth. So people think, oh, well, I'm gonna try to stay natural and just capture the rainfall because it's the cleanest stuff out there. Well, there's plastic even in the rainfall. So I don't think there's anything we can do to avoid it, but definitely trying to minimize it. It should be a goal of everybody.
Yeah, this is like the new thing lately, with the plastics and the water bottles and Um, I've been seeing videos on this pop up more and more, like from the cutting boards to the way food is packaged. It's just like all this stuff is seeping into the food. And then I think they even say in the article there's chemicals. So I'm guessing that's chemicals that are stored in like 5 gallon bucket plastic bales they use to clean food processing of food that gets into the meat. It's just like in everything. So at this point, like, I mean, it's just I don't even know where to begin to get back to uh to to be safe, because it's the way we everything is just the way we handle and process food. It's in plastic. When you buy a lettuce, it's wrapped in plastic. We cut the salad kits, it's in plastic. The way the condiments, it's in plastic. Nothing's in glass no more. So not even pop. I mean, and all that seeps into it. And then the new thing, I remember last year, I think maybe you talked about it, Noel. I was telling my wife that she loves leaving water bottles in cars. And I'm like, that's like the worst shit you could do in the winter. Like if it gets hot, like stuff gets into the water, the plastics, like when it gets hot, it's releasing something into the water you drink. And then water shouldn't be get reheated that many times either, because that's bad for you, because you're releasing something in the water that causes cancer. It's just like bad all around. I think you're only supposed to do it like once, but if you keep doing it, it's like the worst shit you can do. If we keep reheating like coffees and like reboiling water and all this shit, it's like very bad. So at this point, I don't even know what to do no more. I mean, unless they create some type of shot or something where prevents you from getting this. But plastics and everything, it's never gonna go away unless all the people decide we're never gonna use plastic and then go back to glass, which is costs more money. I'm guessing. I don't know.
For sure, for
You
sure,
know.
man. I actually bought so like it mentioned earlier in the article one of the brands, and it's Fairlife's chocolate milkshake and all that. I used to drink Fairlife chocolate milk, and it was delicious, man. I've had it for years at this point. And when I saw this article, actually a little bit before it, there was another thing they were talking about. Um, and other things that it had in it that was like the highest level. So I was like, yeah, let me not drink this brand anymore. So I ended up going to Jewel and trying to see what's my alternative here. What can I get that's, because I love chocolate milk. I don't really drink regular milk. It doesn't,
That
appetite. It's not appetizing.
racist Oberweis glass bottle, man. That's premium.
That's what I'm talking about,
That
man.
just
That's
went
what I
bankrupt.
got. No way.
Yeah,
They
they
just
got
went
bought out by
bankrupt.
something. It might come back, but they declared bankruptcy.
Is this just
Right. Yeah, a few
recently?
months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, like a
like a
few
month
months
or two
ago.
ago. Yeah,
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah,
that's
because I literally
premium
bought it
ice
like
cream. Yeah, and
Yeah, I bought it like
milks.
2 weeks ago. Yeah, man. And I mean, it's expensive, dude. It's
Yeah,
super expensive.
yeah,
They charged me like $10 for the glass bottle, man.
yeah.
I
El
was like, dang.
envase. Yeah. That's why I told when we are dating. I was dating my wife. I took her to Oberweis. I'm like, you know what this is? Like, nah. Like, let's try it. Like, this is ice cream by a racist. Like, he wants to get rid of Mexicans, but damn, he makes good ice cream. She's like, it is pretty good. Yes. I'm like, oh, you don't care that he don't want Mexicans around here? And she's like, not even makes ice cream like this.
I don't remember the Mexican part. What is that
Well,
about?
he was running for like state senator or something, and then he was on this helicopter. Like, you see Soldier Field down there with all the illegals we have here, we could fill up Soldier Field 5 times. It's like, I'm gonna change all that if you elect me governor. So people are like, he's racist. Let's get him out of here. It was like
Dang.
early 2000s. I'm like, damn. And then I had his ice cream, like, all is forgiven, because it is pretty fucking good, and it's premium shit. Yeah.
It
Yeah,
definitely is, man.
yeah. To me, I think I think I mentioned it to you, Andy. Minor change that I did is I stopped packing my lunch,
I noticed.
especially if
Yeah.
I'm heating my lunch.
Hmm.
I stopped packing it in the plastic containers. I bought some of those. I forget what they even call them. Those glass containers
Yeah.
for holding.
Pyrex or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That stuff that you can like cook in the oven and stuff like that. and I pack my lunch in that. Now, for the last couple of weeks, I've been eating like a cold salad or something like that, so it doesn't really matter. But while I was heating up stuff in the microwave, I would have it in a glass container, and it did kind of make me feel like I was taking better steps to kind of avoid plastics best I
I mean,
could.
that's all
But
you can do. I mean,
yeah,
you make them decisions to, like, I always tell my wife, like, yeah, like, you can't force anybody to do anything, but you can make decisions to where you feel like it's that. Like, my wife, she loves Tupperware. We got Tupperware, everything, plates and containers, and like, I was telling her about plastics lately, how, like, it's like in everything that you eat, the way it's processed, like it's coming out now, it's omitting some other stuff, and like down to the cutting boards. A guy was showing on a video cutting some steak on a cutting board, and then he like tapped, and like all these little plastic bits came out of the cutting board. He's like, stop using this, use wooden or bamboo cutting boards. And the way I was telling her, like, yeah, Danny don't use anything plastic for like his food stores. Like, he has everything in glass. She was like, really? Like, yeah, he has like aluminum, like water containers and all this stuff. Like, he don't use almost none of that no more. She
right.
was just like, wow, like, yeah. And I'm like, I mean, there's people, a
It,
lot of people doing that.
it was a little costly just upgrading everything to the glass stuff, but once you invest into it and if you're careful and not dropping it constantly, they are pretty shatter resistant. But yeah, I think it's something minor that you can do. And if we're constantly wrapping up leftovers, so to me it's like it was worth the money that we invested in it. We've had it for a few years now.
And going back to the article, they're basing their article off of a Consumer Reports research paper or group thing, and Reports is a pretty reputable like company. When I'm reviewing stuff or I need to see stuff is good, I go to Consumer Reports to see what they say. So that's a pretty good thing. That they're basing some of their article on. Uh, See, but Consumer Reports new research states it's just not the packaging and processing. We need to figure out how chemicals are being introduced in food in other ways. And like you said, Nanny, it's like we bottles and stuff, like they just throw it in landfills, and then the older stuff, and then the new bottles are like so flimsy. So I always thought they designed it like that so it could be uh, thrown away
Cheaper.
or biodegradable and stuff like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, at least the good part is it's in that Yoplait yogurt, the no fat. So if I just get the regular one, I should be pretty safe because it's only the low fat one that had all those high plastics.
What about if you get like that huge bucket and maybe we scoop up the middle piece and not
Oh
the edges?
yeah,
It'd be all right.
maybe that Greek yogurt is the way to go. I heard it's better too, better for you.
Like I'm like you know what? Like I drink those milkshakes for the morning. I drink Premier Protein, and their food they're the in the 16-ounce bottle that you get. It's like in this plastic, almost like a milk carton, but inside of it, it's a plasticky milk carton. You know, I don't know how to. I don't know if it has like an inner foil inside. It
Yeah,
has
it's kind
that
of like
scrub.
a lining, probably.
Yeah, so I don't know how that is. So I'm imagining um, that has some type of plastics and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I don't
even
know, man.
Coca-Cola cans have a plastic lining inside.
Really?
They showed it. Somebody like deconstructed it, like broke it apart, and you could see like the plastic layer once they melted off the aluminum or whatever, and then you could see like the plastic layer inside.
Damn. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's rough. What's going on there. Let us know at ffnquestion@gmail.com if you guys are doing anything to prevent these forever chemicals. How do you do it? I think we're just gonna have to go over to wrapping food old school in aluminum foil. Just
Actually, you gotta
Nice.
be careful with that too, because
see.
aluminum can leach into that, and aluminum's bad for you too.
Come on,
Yeah,
man.
dude, I stopped grilling onions inside of aluminum because I started reading that shit too. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to grill these onions to
You
get
can
some
get tinfoil, I
savory
think. It's more.
tinfoil?
I think tinfoil is okay, but it's more expensive.
Yeah, man. All I want is a Maxwell Polish with some grilled onions. How do I do that, man?
I don't know, man. You're gonna have to come up with a safe way, and I have a feeling it's gonna involve plastic.
Yeah.
So, just real quick, I can't. My wife was telling me I can't use a wire brush to clean the grill either. Like that's really bad shit, right? Did you tell me that? One of you guys, I think my wife told me that like one of the bristles can stick on there, and it could get stuck to the food and eat it and die or something.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a cheap brush, well, I guess even a good one, the metal little pieces can fall off. But I usually review my grill before I'm done. Like I'll clean it with a brush, and then I'll glance over it just to make sure that a metal spike isn't sticking out.
I
But yeah,
use
the metal pieces can come off.
a Dollar Tree brush. Is that cool?
I
Yeah.
would once you're done brushing, this is what I do. When you're done brushing, because I've even seen the little pieces there, and I'm like worried just the same way you are, like if this is gonna hurt me. So most recently, I grilled some steaks the other day. I cleaned it with the wire brush. I saw some pieces there. I'm like, damn, like I don't want it to be in our food. So I grabbed a towel with oil on
Hmm.
it, and I literally go over the whole grill, like obviously not hot, right? That way you don't burn yourself. But I go each line, each little grill, whatever you want to call it, mark, and then I clean it all and make sure it's good.
Man, those life hacks from Noel. That sounds like a good idea, Mom. I think I'm gonna start doing that.
But let us know what you guys do at ffnquestions@gmail.com. But that's all the time we got for today's episode, guys. We want to thank you for listening. Remember, you can check out Freeform Network on Facebook and Twitter at Freeform Network. We're back on there. We're engaging more of our fans and posting more. So we appreciate if you give a like to the page and go follow us on Twitter/X. And we'd love to hear from you guys. And then, like always, send your questions and suggestions to ffnquestions@gmail.com. We'll make sure once we get them, if they're not spam or bullshit, we'll try to read them on future episodes. And don't forget to check out our webpage, freeformnetwork.podbean.com. There's all our past episodes that you don't find on YouTube and other applications and platforms. There we have a pretty good strong on the webpage. We have all our episodes up there. So check us out. And then don't forget, if you listen to on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, whatever's out there, Spotify, iHeart, please do us a favor, like and subscribe. That helps us out down the road. And we would appreciate that. For Freeform Radio, we got Daniel.
Yes, sir, man. I'm hungry. We're supposed to go to Cracker Barrel after this, man. I don't know if that place is racist, Andy, but man, that food is good, man.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. I don't think they're going to be around too much either. I've been reading that, but that's a topic for another episode. We got Noel.
Yeah, yep. Thank you very much for listening, everybody, and just try to be safe out there. Make some wise choices and limit that plastic if you can.
And it's all good, Andy. We want to thank you for listening, and you guys have a good week, and we'll catch you next time.
That was cool, Dad.